Well, darling, vanity is certainly my sin of choice, but second place is a toss-up between lust and anger. Anger is a powerful emotion, energy in motion, and it gets a bad rap in a lot of spiritual teachings. The Buddha told us that anger is a poison. The Bible tells us, refrain from anger and forsake wrath. It says it angrily too. Fret not yourself, it tends only to evil. Which is kind of ironic, definitely ironic, because Old Testament God is like a rage machine, right? He just turns people into pillars of salt and sacrifices innocent babies whenever he's having a bad day. And look, I'm just an internet idiot, but I'm of the mind that anger is not all bad. Like most things in nature, it serves a purpose. But if we do not act on it appropriately, or we hold on to it for too long, then it can become damaging to ourselves and the people around us. When we let anger control or consume us, it really is like drinking poison and hoping that the person who made us angry is going to be the one to die. Anger is a very charged emotion, and if we hold on to it for long periods of time, it can actually cause all kinds of health issues. And this is true of all not good emotions. So there's this idea in both energy work and shamanism that all physical ailments actually begin in the spirit. So first, there's some kind of imbalance in our spiritual body, in our spiritual self. So that can happen when we are holding on to negative emotions or when we are making choices that are consistently out of alignment. And if we don't heal those pieces, then we become physically sick. Then the spiritual sickness manifests as a physical illness. That being said, all emotions serve a purpose, including anger. And that doesn't always mean that we should act on them. Sometimes the best thing we can do is just sit with a feeling. But the thing to know about emotions, whether they are good or bad, is that they always have a message. And what it made me think of is this excerpt that I read in, where's the book? That book. I have too many. I have a book there. I have books there. There's books there. That's the book. It made me think of this book, which I read back in 2020. It is called Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins.
Meanwhile,
I like how it's autofocusing on his face. Just the book, please, there. It's like I spy a human. Thanks, camera. And he has a really interesting section in here where he talks about all of the different emotions we can experience and what it is that they are signaling. So he writes, the message of anger is that an important rule or standard that you hold for your life has been violated by someone or maybe even by you. And I love that he calls it a message because that's exactly what emotions are. They are signals about something, and anger may be a signal that we are being hurt, that we are not communicating our needs and boundaries appropriately, that we are out of integrity, that our rights or someone else's rights are being violated. And so anger itself is not the problem, but it's how we act on the message, right? If anger is the messenger, it's how we respond to the message that can be problematic. And people's anger responses tend to fall into one of two general camps, okay? On one hand, we have the asshole / bitch, and on the other, we have the nice guy / nice girl. And the asshole / bitch is the caricature of anger, right? These are the people who yell, stomp their feet, turn red, steam coming out the ears, right? Explosive anger. On the other hand, other end of the spectrum, other extreme, is the nice guy / nice girl. And these are the people who don't want to rock the boat, and so they push anger down. But repression, even though that might seem like a better thing because we're not engaged in direct confrontation, mano a mano. Repressed emotions just end up being expressed in other ways that are equally detrimental, right? Might be guilt, shame, resentment, manipulation is a big one. Shutting down is another one. And we tend to see this more in women than men, the second category. And there's a reason for that because traditionally, women have been raised to be peacekeepers and caretakers, and anger is terribly unladylike. As a society, we are much more comfortable with anger in men than we are with anger in women. How many words do we have to describe an angry man, right? I don't know. How many words do we have to describe an angry woman? Shrews, witches, bitches, hags, nags. Sounds like I was about to drop a hot mixtape.
eventually,
Shrews, witches, bitches, hags, nags. Oh. Shrews, witches, bitches, hags, nags. Ah. That was dumb. I digress. My point is that anger is a message, and it is not the message that is problematic. It is our response to the message, whether that is blowing up or shutting down. That being said, anger can be useful. So I like to start with the sort of broad theory, which we have done, and then ground into everyday, real life examples. So when can anger be a good thing? Well, let me tell you, I'm a little feisty. It's not a secret, okay? It runs in my family, being a firecracker. It's kind of hereditary, I guess. Yeah, it is definitely a strength and a weakness, depending on the day and the circumstances. I will say growing up, I had absolutely no idea how to handle it. I didn't know how to handle myself, and so I mostly just punched holes through walls. Don't recommend it. Not productive, not good. 11 out of 10 don't recommend it. But that same trait, when channeled appropriately, would fuel me to action. So for example, when I was in high school, I took an AP history class with Mr. Mooney. That was his name, Mr. Mooney, and he was lecturing on religion. And he said to the class that Islam was a very violent, vengeful religion, very eye for an eye. And so, of course, everyone in the class, all 40 of us, turned to look at the one Muslim kid in the class. He may have been like one of two in the entire school. And everyone turns to stare at Mo. It was awkward. He was mortified. And Mr. Mooney, rather than realizing the hole he had just dug himself, proceeded to try to get Muhammad to agree with him that his religion was violent and vengeful. Who do you think got pissed, told the teacher he was full of and that he owed Muhammad an apology? This angry bitch. My only regret is that I waited until after class to say anything. I wish I would have called him on it right then and there, but I was trying to pick my battle appropriately, and I was like calling out a teacher for being what is that, religionist, for being a dick. Okay, that's what I'm gonna call it, for being a dick, is probably just gonna get me into trouble as well, and then he's gonna feel like he has to defend his position. Better to approach him after class. But I still kind of regret it. I don't regret much in my life, but I regret that. I'm sorry, Mo. And here's the thing. I don't know if anyone else in the class was as angry as I was, but it was that emotion and acting on that emotion that actually gave me the gall to confront my teacher. Everyone knew it was wrong. No one else was going to say anything. Another example of anger when it is not channeled well is repression. And I don't have this problem, so I have to use someone else as an example. Mental Rolodex. Oh yeah. Not too long ago, I was in the vicinity of someone who struggled with a lot of repressed emotion and deep-seated shame. And I didn't know this person well at all. Okay, I just pick up on these things. And we were in a group setting, and I would watch this person as they swallowed all kinds of things. Anger, imagined insult, obvious disagreement, and he would just kind of bottle it up. And I would watch as he was displeased or uncomfortable with things, but he would never speak up. And that worked well enough for him in these group settings. He kept it contained, but the effect of that is that everything he was bottling up came out in our one-on-one sessions. And so I would meet this person, and he would be very threatened, condescending, passive aggressive, and that wouldn't have been the case if he was able to address the emotions that were coming up in a healthy way or in an open way. But the thing about repression is the reason people push those things away, it's a coping mechanism. They push it away because they are either afraid of or more likely ashamed of those emotions. And so this was a person who believed that anger was a bad thing. And it didn't surprise me at all to learn that this person has a degenerative disease, because you cannot go through life pushing down everything and be okay. And that goes back to the whole spiritual sickness and it manifesting in the physical. So too much explosive outward anger is obviously damaging, but also inward anger where we're just shoving the emotion down and never speaking our truth is equally damaging. But anger in small doses, in small doses can be helpful. Sometimes we may even want to summon anger. If you've ever seen a powerlifter's coach slap them across the face before they go for a big lift, or just powerlifters in general, right? Like they're so angry. Sometimes it may even make sense to transmute other emotions into anger. So for example, fear is one of the lowest vibrational energies, right? It's only a little bit higher than things like guilt, grief, and shame. And the thing about all of those energies is they're super heavy, right? When we're carrying those, it can be hard to move. They're like paralyzing. We can't get a lot done. Anger, on the other hand, anger is not high vibe, but at least it can catalyze action. And so sometimes it may make sense to transmute fear into anger or aggression. And this is something that we actually see utilized by warriors. If you think of like a Viking berserker, right? Or soldiers when they like yell, beat their chests before they run into battle, what that is transmuting fear into aggression. And I know we just made fun of Chihuahuas, okay, for doing exactly the same thing in that video there. But the thing about Chihuahuas is they do it unconsciously. If we use this consciously, it can be kind of helpful. But you don't have to be a soldier or a big hairy Viking warrior to make this work for you. For example, last story, because it's fun, and then we'll sign off. For example, I was at jiu-jitsu and we were playing a game of sweeper pass, which is basically where I'm on my back and my legs are wrapped around my partner who is on their knees. And the goal of the game is either for me to knock my partner over and get on top, or for her to break my guard, so separate my legs and pass my guard and get to a more advantageous position, whether that's being on the side of me or on top of me. So I was struggling to sweep my partner. She had maybe 40, 50 pounds on me and about a year of experience. And she could not break my guard. And so we were just at an impasse. We had been struggling against each other for several minutes at that point. And she was getting quite aggravated. I had latched onto her like a fucking koala with rigor mortis, and she was pissed. I thought we were having fun. I thought we were sparring, but she took it personally. And she lifted me up, body slammed me into the ground with her forearm across my trachea. And I was like, ow, completely illegal move. But she did not give a fuck. She was like, she wanted to cause me enough pain that I might loosen the death grip that is my legs. And it honestly hurt. And initially I was like, I felt this little sparkle of fear in me when I realized that we were no longer sparring. This was no longer like fun and games. This person like legitimately wanted to hurt me. And then I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be afraid. I choose the angry chemicals and I choose violence. So the position this girl had put herself in, she was, all her weight was forward on me. So she had lost her base, her balance. And we were basically nose to nose. And so her position, combined with my cocktail of adrenaline, epinephrine, and cortisol, led to the most perfect scissor sweep of my life. It's actually the only time I've been able to hit that particular move. And I'm pretty sure it's because I was so angry. I don't give a f how much you weigh, you're going over. And the minute she's on her back and I'm in the dominant position, I immediately get to my feet and I walk off the mats to collect myself, because at that point the anger had served its purpose. I just wanted her to get off of me and leave my windpipe alone. That was it. The mistake that's easy to make is holding onto anger, right? Because if anger is a hot poker, it's great for defending ourselves. But if you hold on to it, it's going to damage you. You're going to get burned. We're friends now. It's fine. So there you go. Anger. What is it good for? Absolutely something. What's your relationship to anger? I would love to hear about it in the comments. In any case, thank you for having Idea Sesh with me today. Hail to the power in the sight, and until next time, I hope you stay very, very blessed, my friends. So there you go. Shiva's gonna be watching this like literally what the Okay, it's fine. Hi, Shiva.